Welcome back, everybody. Hope you are all doing fine. So now we're going to continue working with our Unit 8 from Grade Time 5. And this is the first grammar part of our lesson, all right? And this grammar topic is about conditionals. And it's a review, so very important, guys. At this moment here, we're not talking about anything new. Everything we're going to check here and the exercises we're going to do, they are all based on things you have already studied before. All right? But for today, before we jump into the grammar topic itself, I'd really like you to take a look at a great series of videos called What If? Because if we're talking about conditionals, we're talking about things that we can only imagine, things that are not actually real. But from conditionals, actually from this imagination, we can create hypotheses. Things that people think about and feel like, oh, what if something happened? What would be the consequence? And so on, okay? We're going to be watching a video together about the Amazon rainforest, okay? So enjoy the video, and later on, we're gonna be back here talking about conditionals, okay?
How long would it take for the world's largest rainforest to burn down? If we don't do anything to stop it, we'll soon find out. The Amazon rainforest creates 20% of the Earth's oxygen. It's home to 30% of the planet's species. And it holds the secrets to treating some of our most deadly diseases. If we destroy the Amazon rainforest, the consequences would be disastrous. And they'd be felt all over the world. Could we survive without it? Why would it have a giant impact on our health care? And would we ever be able to bring it back? This is What If, and here's what would happen if the Amazon rainforest disappeared. Recently, massive forest fires have become the biggest threat to the Amazon's survival. But unfortunately, the fires are just part of a much bigger problem. For example, farming, mining, and logging are already responsible for 3 football fields worth of deforestation per minute. If we don't do anything to stop this, the Amazon rainforest will disappear eventually. And we'd lose any chance we have in the battle against climate change. The Amazon rainforest is one of the most incredible places on Earth. It covers 40% of South America, drives the South American economy, and stores 86 billion tons of carbon that would otherwise be polluting our atmosphere. With an area that's this important, you'd think we would do everything in our power to protect it. But we don't. Since 1978, an estimated 750,000 square kilometers of rainforest have been destroyed, all thanks to humans. If this trend continues, the Amazon rainforest could disappear within 100 years. How bad would that be for our planet? Well, let's take a look. For starters, we'd be losing a huge amount of our planet's biodiversity. The Amazon rainforest has more plant and animal species than any other terrestrial ecosystem on Earth. If we destroy the Amazon, we'll be destroying all that diversity too, and wiping out an entire ecosystem at the same time. That would have huge effects on Earth. We'd all quickly realize how much we've been relying on the Amazon's resources for food and medicine. Most people are surprised when they find out that hundreds of prescription drugs have come from things in the Amazon rainforest. We're not just talking about simple herbal remedies either. We're talking about full-fledged cancer-fighting drugs that are so important. that they've been classified as essential medicines by the World Health Organization. And we haven't even scratched the surface yet. Scientists estimate that they've studied less than 5% of the plants in the rainforest for potential medicinal benefits. So who knows what other essential treatments we could lose without the rainforest? But the most critical problem we'd face if the Amazon completely disappeared would be a faster pace of climate change. If the Amazon rainforest continues to wither and die, it will stop being a source of oxygen. Instead, it will begin to give off carbon, which we all know is fueling climate change. Right now, the Amazon has a natural stockpile of carbon reserves, anywhere from 90 to 140 billion tons of the stuff. If we woke up tomorrow and found the Amazon destroyed, especially by fire, all that carbon would be floating in the atmosphere. Some experts believe that if this happens, we would lose the battle against climate change. But it's not all doom and gloom. There is still hope for the Amazon rainforest. Through studies conducted over the past several decades, researchers have found that tropical forests may be able to survive human-caused destruction. Even without human help, a rainforest can start growing again if it has enough seedlings. However, this can only be successful if the rainforest isn't always under attack. So, what can you do to help? Well, for starters, don't eat as much beef. Processed beef products, such as fast food hamburgers, are full of illegally sourced beef from the rainforest. Reduce the amount of paper you use and choose renewable energy products whenever you can. Renewable energy reduces the amount of carbon we spew into the atmosphere from fossil fuels, many of which come from the Amazon rainforest. Maybe, if we all work together, we can restore this beautiful rainforest to its former glory. But that's a topic for another What If.
Oh wow, again. Have you ever thought about all of those things? What if the Amazon rainforest disappeared? What would be the consequences? So, as you could check on the video, many different possibilities. Many would be the consequences for everybody around the globe. They would be catastrophic, right? So that's something really important to think about when we think about our daily actions, our consumption, and also about what we eat, right? Excellent. So, to keep on practicing this imagination and the hypothesis, let's take a look at how we form these sentences. How can we really talk to someone and make them understand what is our or what are our hypotheses, or what are the possibilities we're thinking about when we want to express an idea, right? So, what we're going to do today, we're going to be working a bit different, okay? First of all, I'm going to explain the first part, the first column you can see here. So, I'm going to take a closer look. I'm going to explain this part here together. So, the first exercise and the rule. Then, you are going to pause the video, do these two activities. You are going to get back, we're going to correct, and then I'm going to explain exercises 2 and 3, and then later we're going to check them together. All right? So, for starters, in the first exercise, you have to write the correct form of the verbs in parentheses, and then you can check your answers in the book review. Remember the one about the checklist, the checklist manifesto, right? So you are going, first of all, you are going to complete these sentences here you can see. Then you are going to go back to the text to check your answers. Later on, after you have checked your answers, you are going to complete the rule. And the rule here, as we're talking about the conditionals, you have to pay attention to three different things. First, actually 4 different things. The first one, what's the type of the conditional? If it's 0, first, second, or third. What is the example sentence? If it's sentence number 1, 2, 3, or 4 before, all right? What is the form? What is the format of the if clause? So you are going to check if it's in the simple present, past perfect, past, I don't know, okay? And what is the format of the main clause? Okay, so here we have one example. So for example, type of conditional, 0. The example sentence is number 3. How is the if clause? What's the if part of the sentence? How it's formed? So it's formed with the simple present. And what about the main clause? Okay, so for now, stop this video, complete the sentences, check them on the book review, and then complete the rule. Come back here and then we check. All right? Good luck. All right, guys. How was that? Was it difficult? I hope not. Okay? So let's check the sentences. These sentences, again, you could have checked them on the text. If you didn't do that, no problems, because we're going to do them together here. So, number 1, we say, if surgeons run through a simple checklist before every operation, then lives will be saved, right? Then number 2 says, if they had worn, right? Remember to wear in the past participle is worn. So if they had worn their masks, the patient wouldn't have been infected, right? Then number 3, if pilots and engineers use checklists, why don't doctors use them, right? So if pilots and engineers do, why don't doctors do? Okay? And finally, number 4, if I had surgery, I would want the surgeon to use the list, right? So let's check our answers. Well done, guys. Very good. Okay? So these are the sentences from exercise 1. Now, you needed to complete the rule as well. And here's the rule completed. Oh, no, sorry. Here's the text. The rule is over here. Yeah. So, here are the sentences again. And the rule says, so your rule should be just like this. So, when the conditional is 0, the example is sentence number 3 here, right? So, if pilots and engineers use checklists, so we see that the if clause is in the simple present. And what about the main clause, this part over here? Why don't doctors use them? This is in the simple present as well, right? So, 0 conditional, if clause is simple present, and the main clause simple present as well. Now, first conditional, what is the sentence example? Number 1. So, if surgeons run through a simple checklist before every operation, then lives will be saved. So, we have the if clause with present simple or simple present, right? And the main clause will be with will or the future, right? And the infinitive of the verb. So, will be, will run, will go, all right? Now, second conditional. The example is sentence number 4. So, if I had surgery in the past, simple past, I would want the surgeon to use this list. So, we see that the if clause is formed with the simple past, and the main clause is formed with would or wouldn't, and the infinitive of the verb, just like will and infinitive. So, would be, would go, would choose, would want. Okay? Nice. And finally, the third conditional, the example is sentence number 2 over here. So, if they had worn, so the past perfect, if they had worn their masks, the patient would not have been infected. So, what is the conclusion we come up with this sentence here? So, the doctors or the people around the patient didn't wear masks, so this is a fact, and that's why the patient was infected. But the possibility I am imagining says that if they had worn, the patient wouldn't have been, right? So, the example sentence number 2, the if clause is in the past perfect, right? So, had worn, had gone, right? And the main clause will always be formed with would or wouldn't for negative ones, have, and the past participle. So, would have gone, would have chosen, would have been, would have run. Okay? So, this is the rule for all the 4 conditionals you have learned so far. Now, we're going to practice a little bit more about the conditions, okay? And you have 2 exercises ahead, number 2 and number 3. Oh, sorry guys, for those who have their books with them at home, we are on page 76, okay? If you don't have your books with you, no problems at all. You can follow this exercise over here. So, as I told you before, I'm going to explain exercise 2 and 3, and then you are going to pause the video, do the exercises, and then come back here for us to check. So, exercise 2, you have to match the 4 sentences a doctor might say to a patient with the situations A to D. So you have sentences 1, 2, 3, and 4, and situations A, B, C, D. You need to match them, okay? And exercise number 3. For this one, you will need your notebook, guys, okay? Because you have to write conditional sentences in your notebook. How? Let's check. So, number 1 gives you the information. Reading books is a great idea. So, we need to create a 0 conditional with the following information. If you read books, you learn things about life. So, how is the 0 conditional formed? Remember, so, simple present, simple present. So, number 1 would be, if you read books, you learn things about life, right? Pretty easy. So, now it's on you. Do exercises 2 and 3, and then come back over here for us to check. Good luck. Alright guys, so let's check exercise number 2. And here we have the sentences the doctor might say, and the situations in which he or she could have said those sentences. So number 1, we have, if people take this medicine, they don't get headaches. So, what is the situation for that? The patient didn't take the medicine. It's not talking specifically to one person. It gives us a more general idea, right? So, let's see the next situation. The doctor is telling the patient a general fact about the medicine. Very good one to match. All right. So let's see number 2. If you take this medicine, you won't get headaches, right? So let's see. The patient isn't taking the medicine and gets headaches. Do we know that the patient didn't take the medicines or isn't taking? Probably not, right? Let's see the next situation. The doctor is telling the patient about a future result of taking the medicine, right? So let's go back to the sentence. If you take this medicine today, tomorrow or in the future, you won't get headaches. Seems a pretty good match as well, right? Number 3. If you took this medicine, you wouldn't get headaches. Now the doctor is talking about the past situation. So if you took this medicine, probably the patient didn't take the medicine, right? So let's see. The patient didn't take the medicine, or the patient isn't taking the medicine and gets headaches. That's a very good one. Guys, a very important thing. So, when we use the second conditional, just like in the sentence number 3, so if you took this medicine, you wouldn't get headaches. We are talking about the present. So, it means that the patient at this moment is not taking the medicine. And that's why he or she is getting headaches, right? So the second conditional talks about the future. Talks about the present. The first conditional talks about the future possibility. And the zero conditional talks about a general fact about something. Okay? So, if you took this medicine, means that the patient isn't taking. All right? And then, finally, sentence number 4. If you had taken this medicine, you wouldn't have gotten headaches. So, now yes, the third conditional is referring to a past possibility. So, in this case, if you had taken, so you didn't take, right? But if you had taken this medicine, you wouldn't have gotten headaches. So it means the patient didn't take the medicine. All right, let's check. Well done, guys. Well done. Very good. For those of you who use the books, the sequence of the letters is 1B, 2D, 3C, and 4A. All right? Very good. Now, let's go back to exercise number 3. So remember, here you had the information, the general information, the prompts, the things you needed to use in the sentence, and the definition of the condition. And this one we saw. So, if you read books, you learn things about life. Oops, life, right? Now, first conditional. Remember, simple present in the first part and will and the verb in the infinitive in the second part. So, I think you should buy the book. In the first condition, you discover interesting things about pilots and doctors if you read it, right? So, you would discover, you will discover interesting things about pilots and doctors if you read it, right? So, first part with will and the verb in the infinitive. Second part, the if clause with the simple present, right? Now, let's see number 3. Gawanda's a doctor. And we need to use the second conditional. So remember the second conditional, simple past in the if part, and would plus the infinitive in the main clause, right? So if Gawande wasn't a doctor, wasn't a doctor, he wouldn't understand so much about this, right? So again, second conditional, simple past, and the main clause with would or wouldn't, and the infinitive of the verb. And finally, number 4. I read this book a week or 2 ago, and we need to talk about the third conditional. We need to create a sentence in the third condition. So, I not find out about the importance of checklists if I not read it. So, I wouldn't have found out about the importance of checklists if I hadn't read it, right? Because the third conditional says we need to use would have and the past participle of the verb in the main clause and the past perfect in the if part. All right? So let's check our answers, and I hope it's all correct. And everything is incorrect. Probably. Let's see why. If he wouldn't understand so much. I don't know what happened. I'm just gonna give it a try here to check so that we can check the answers. If you read books, you learn things about life. I don't know the problem. The period at the end of the sentences was the problem. Okay, I put a period. So, you will discover interesting things about pilots and doctors if you read it. If Gawande wasn't a doctor, he wouldn't understand so much about this. And I wouldn't have found out about the importance of checklists if I hadn't read it. Okay, so we were right. Okay, a period was our problems. All right, guys. Thank you very much for your time over here. I know it was a bit long today, but it's very important for you to review the conditionals because the next part, we're going to continue talking about them, but in a bit different way. Okay? So, hope to see you soon. Bye!